You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance.
God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party.
It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
This is Lois Crane here, and I'm advising you to do yourself a favor and watch the Alliance Guys podcast.
The Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Alliance. That's me.
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Blog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Tiffany Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Blog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. Or you're ugly. Period. Power approved.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby. What is up, fellas? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your premier source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J. Cal, and the gentleman with me is DKM. We are the Alliance Guys, and we're here to talk some NWA wrestling. DK, how you doing? You're muted, DK.
You know how you feel when you get run over by a truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, not even close to that good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been a day for me too. It's one of those, I don't know. I've seen better days. I've been the star of many plays. I've seen better days and the bottom drops out. So what?
No idea what you just said.
Yeah, I don't know either. Hey, we have some friends in the chat. I want to say hello to everyone. Noob's here. Steve G's in the house. Willie Bowen's here. Willie, where's our tires joke, Willie? You're letting me down, brother. It's all right. It's okay. Yeah, been a hectic week. Did you happen to hang out with us on Tuesday? Did you see Ray's in the chat?
I was on for about 10 minutes.
Ray's hung out with us almost the entire show, which was very, very cool. And hopefully, not hopefully, with 100% certainty, the next pre-party, it's going to feature Ray's. She's going to join the show. She's going to be co-hosting the pre-party with me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Better be careful. You'll find your replacement.
Look, I've been auditioning lovely ladies to replace me. We've this year alone, we had Fiona, we had my wife, we're having Ray's. Like, I'm looking for replacements. Who wants to fill in? I'll take it. And then obviously the next Thursday, because it's Halloween, we're not going to be here. We're going to take the night off because DK wants to go trick-or-treating. I want to go trick-or-treating. Jaden wants to throw eggs at people's houses. So we won't be here next Thursday. But I'm going to effort to have an interview with Shane Haste that we taped back in September. Was it August? Maybe it was August. Anyways, it hasn't been heard yet. So you guys will be the first ones to hear it right here on this very channel.
Power to the people.
Are you putting in your bets for who's going to win the World Series? What are you doing right now?
I'm messaging somebody who is asking me stupid questions.
Tell Jaden to just come on. He doesn't need to message you.
I'm trying to, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, I do know how it goes. So it's been kind of an interesting week for the NWA. Obviously, you guys have heard, maybe you've seen. Not, you know what, Sean? You know what, pal? The team that's going to win the World Series has the Angels in their name, just in Spanish. There it is. Willie Bowen, J-Cal, DKM. Tyrus was going to have a TV show, but it was canceled because the catering personnel was wondering what happened to the food. I think the catering budget. I think the catering budget would probably bankrupt most networks. Willie says he loves Ruby Reyes. You know what? I love Ruby Reyes. She's been a good friend of mine for a very long time. In fact, I sent her the picture we were talking about on the pre-party where her and her tag team partner Hudson Envy at the time. This was like in, I want to say 2013, 2014. Took a picture with my daughter, who's now 20 years old.
Who let that happen?
Huh?
Who let that happen?
Not me, man. Not me. It's been, I don't like letting the great thing about being a dad is watching your kids grow up. The worst thing about being a dad is watching your kids grow up. And I've got a 20-year-old, I've got an 11-year-old, and I got a 10-year-old, and I'm telling you, man, it's there's a lot of joys in being a father, and then there's a lot of, as DK can attest, a lot of pitfalls. It's not always and lollipops.
Well, I was glad we got our Willie Bowen Tyrus joke, but I'm not sure which is worse. Tyrus as NWA champion or Chris Jericho as ROH champion.
Well, let's get into that, man, because you messaged me yesterday, and I wasn't watching Ring of Honor. I had, I don't watch AEW programming all that often.
That's okay because it wasn't on Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I don't watch AEW programming all that often either. And they crowned a new champion when Jericho, with the help of Big Bill, defeated
Mark Briscoe.
Thank you. I kept saying Jay, and I couldn't think of the last name. I'm like, no, that's his brother, and he passed away sadly. Mark Briscoe, who was the Ring of Honor champion, and I guess it was a ladder match or something. Again, I don't really follow the product that closely. And
the only reason I know is because a certain friend of the Alliance guys messaged me on Discord.
Well, I mean, and what do you think? Like, I know how you think about it, but why don't you tell the listening audience, viewing audience, what you think about that title switch?
Well, look, first of all, this isn't the first time they've done it.
No.
They put it on him previously. And I didn't like it when they put it on him the first time. And everybody said, oh, well, that's because they're shopping a TV deal for ROH and they need a, name to hold the title. And I remember I said back then, I go, well, you could put on Bryan Danielson. You could put it on a few other people, but, sure, Chris Jericho.
Was it the belt on Claudio Castagnoli before it went to Jericho?
It was on Castagnoli, then it went to Jericho, then it went back to Castagnoli, who lost it to Eddie, what's his name? Eddie Kingston? Who lost it to Mark Briscoe, who's lost it to Jericho. And now all the people who, were foolish and thought that the first time Jericho won it was because he was because they were shopping a deal. And now they're saying the exact same damn thing. Well, they had to put the title on somebody with name value recognition. So, because they're shopping the show. Well, it didn't work the first effing time.
No.
Since that time, Jericho has gotten worse. He is the epitome of go-away heat. I mean, people who love AEW want him to retire. Yeah, he's somewhere around 53. I don't know if that's his exact age, but he's within a year of that, one direction or the other. In fact, let me see something.
Yeah, born in November 9th, 1970. So he's actually approaching 54 years of age.
Wow. So he's closer to 54 than anything else. And so, okay, yeah. So, like, here was my thought that I sent to you. How is a 53-year-old Chris Jericho, who I must have read that when I read that he won the title, who has total go-away heat, who has made fun of NBA players because of his age and being out of shape, the big name that will help them ROH get a show. I want to know how. And so, and by the way, they used the same argument when they put the TV title on Brian Cage. Well, they got a shot. And by the way, half the people who are defending this are people who are trying to tell me that ROH is a developmental league for AEW. I mean, I literally know people who, as a result of that title change, have canceled their Honor Club memberships. And if more than one person's told me, and if any of them are listening, they're more than free to out themselves. But, they go, ROH titles are, top title rarely ever is on the show. Even after Mark Briscoe, the ROH guy, won it, he was rarely on the show. Like, they'll put it on the big pay-per-view, but he's not on the show. And they go, I was having a conversation with someone today, and we're saying ROH has basically become AEW Dark. A bunch of people who they got to do something with, so they put them in ROH and do something with them. I mean, does anybody have any connection to the idea that Chris Jericho holds the top title in the same promotion where Dustin Rhodes holds one half the tag team champions, one half of the six-man tag team or 1/3 of the six-man tag team champions? Neither of his six-man partners are his partner for the tag team. Now you got Brian Cage, a man who used to lose to the likes of Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy, who, he outweighed by over 100 pounds. And this is their idea. I mean, first of all, is there any comprehension that Jericho's champion in the same promotion that those other guys are champions?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. And I think about it, I wouldn't call Dustin Rhodes a developmental guy. I wouldn't even call Sammy Guevara a developmental guy at this point in the business. And there is the thing about it is AEW has such a deep roster. And I don't want to shortchange Dustin Rhodes, Dustin Reynolds at all, because I feel like he's, even at this age, he's still pretty good competitor. But if ROH is supposed to be developmental, then why are we seeing these, with all due respect, veterans on that brand when there are so many young guys on the ROH roster, AEW roster that could be in that place? Now, personally, I don't mind having AEW use veterans in the right place, but they've got this guy. I think you might have heard of his name before. He used to be really big in the WWE, but he never held a world title. His name's Shelton Benjamin. And this guy, I really feel like could be a big deal, a real big deal for AEW. And they're putting him in these matches where he's crushing people. They're making him look like Brock Lesnar. And I don't have a problem with that either, by the way. And I know Shelton Benjamin isn't a young guy either. But, kind of based on what the history of ROH used to be and what ROH could be, and you've got a guy who could still compete at an advanced level and who, obviously AEW has put a lot of at least some energy and effort into. Like, why not put Shelton Benjamin in that position? Why not have Shelton Benjamin be that guy in Ring of Honor? He had a pretty prolific career in the WWE. He was fairly well known to WWE fans, if that's what you're counting on. I mean, at this point in the game, I watch Jericho matches, and I used to love Chris Jericho. He used to be one of my favorite wrestlers in ECW and in WCW. And hell, even when he jumped to WWE, I was one of those guys that was wearing his Y2J shirt. I had the Monday Night Jericho shirt, but that was like 25, 30 years ago. I'm not trying to say that Jericho needs to hang it up, but does he need to be the
No, he needs to hang it up.
All right, but does he need to be the center of attention is I guess what I'm saying. When you have pretty gifted guys that are on that roster, and look, I get it, Shelton Benjamin's a new guy, maybe he's not the right choice either, but there's a lot of guys on the roster that would make so much sense in that position.
Yeah, I guess. Benjamin's 49, so
sure.
Only 4 or 5 years younger, but at least he would be kind of new and exciting, and he doesn't have Jericho's baggage right now.
No, but he can also still wrestle at a high level. Like that's more important to me is he can still compete at a high level.
Everybody thinks Jericho goes around and finds what the who's like the hot thing at the moment, goes and works with them, and then none of them come off the better for it.
No.
And the only one who survived Jericho has basically been MJF. And MJF was the world champion, and after he lost the title, he had to go away and heal up some injuries, and now he's back, and it's just almost like, who cares?
Yeah.
They haven't put him in a storyline that means anything. And they have a tendency to do that with the world champions. Once they lose the title, it's like, unless you're John Moxley.
Well, and again, this isn't an AEW themed podcast, but we've spent a little bit of time talking about it. We'll spend a little bit more time talking about it. They're obviously, I think one of the biggest drawbacks to that program right now is just the consistency in the booking. You've got some great talent in AEW, just similarly to like how the NWA has this really strong talent base. And getting these storylines that are connected, that make sense, that don't make people look convoluted or stupid, And we're seeing that a lot now in AEW, even with the Moxley storyline, him and Marina Sharif and the members that were formerly known as the Blackpool Combat Club. They're all kind of working together under this auspicious, we're trying to make AEW great again type slogan. And it just, all of it just sounds so convoluted and like, do we need an invasion angle? Do we need an inside invasion angle? Is this like NWO 2.0? Everything that when I start feeling like AEW starts doing something right, and then I feel like they take a step backwards. As I said, I'm very excited about the prospects of Shelton Benjamin and MVP in AEW. And I feel like MVP and Shelton Benjamin could have a very interesting storylines, and it looks like they're going to push him right away into an altercation with Swerve and Prince Nana. And I'm all right with all of that, right? I'm okay with all of that, but I feel like that's even like pushed very quickly. and that's something that they probably could have built up to, you know.
Well, and you know, another thing to make this relevant to the NWA, we'll segue here. The problem is story that doesn't make any freaking sense. And, you know, that's like NWA and Sawin.
Yeah.
So now we have on X, the former Twitter, they're posting a picture of Kenzie Page, says she's going to be defending her title at Sawin, but who? It's not announced who. And they ask, who do we want to see defend the title? And it's like, well, I would like to see, and this was a popular answer on the thing, you know, maybe the effing number one contender that you guys crowned at the last Signature Live event. Because back when it was a 2-day show, the person used to be crowned the first night, and they got the title match the next night. Now they're not even getting the title match at the next Signature Live event, with no explanation really given. And not only that, but you just had it up. The person who won the number one contenders thing is in a meaningless 3-way match. And we're assuming it's meaningless because they haven't given us any reason for it. The one thing that you pointed out in the conversation is they made it look like maybe her and Tiffany Evans would continue the feud, but that hasn't happened. She's in with Kylie Page and Hollywood Haley J. Well, why do we need her in that match? Why can't we just see Kylie Page and
Hollywood?
Yeah. It's just,
well, okay, so the one thing we have to do, kind of take a step back, is, you know, as far as the taping schedule goes for the NWA, they have filmed 2 full days of TV taping, and 1 day of TV taping is typically about 4 episodes of Power. So they have about 8 episodes of Power. Now, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me to run your Halloween themed pay-per-view in December. That's a little bit Nightmare Before Christmas, don't you think? But if that's what they do, then maybe this will make sense by the time we get there. Or maybe it's even like January, because there's 8 episodes theoretically taped. Matthew Underwood suggested in our Discord. Yeah, Matthew Underwood suggested in our Discord that maybe they would put that match, the Saw Win, starting the Tuesday after the 76. But even then, it's like you're out of Halloween by that point. You know, Halloween is already come and gone. So if that's the plan, you know, there was no buildup at 76 for any of these matches that are happening at Samhain, with the exception of, seeing, and we'll get to in detail with a little bit more of these later, but, there's, obviously the return match that's kind of already built in. And then, having, Jack Cartwheel challenge for the junior heavyweight title. That's the continuation of the storyline from the 76. The same, maybe the same.
He's the number one contender. He's challenging for the title at the next event.
Yeah. So, like I said, we don't know what's happening at the 20. We don't know what's going to happen for the next episode. We know on the 26th, Saturday, there will be an NWA Signature Live event, but we don't even know how soon we're going to see that. Is it going to be like what kicks off January? Is it what kicks off 2025? Or are we going to see these episodes sooner?
Somebody, I don't remember who you said posted it in Discord, but the story that was reported on some websites was what am I trying to say? The story that was put on some websites was that they made jump from 76 to Saw Win. And the idea being that whatever was taped in October may not be shown until December or January. In which case you have, and that it was 6 episodes each night that was taped, and so there's 12 episodes. So that doesn't make any sense, because then in January, of course, we have Shockwave, which I guess they're doing as a signature live event. I mean, isn't that how they're...
Yeah, it's kind of... So what I gather now, because things have changed so much since all this was first announced. Remember, signature live event was, and I know this for a fact, was a CW concept. They used the verbiage that another wrestling company came up with. But let's just move that up. Let's go past that. So these signature live events are basically... anything that's not taped at their studios, which is in Tampa now. They've officially confirmed that Tampa would be the home of their new tapings. So theoretically, that's going to be the home. So anything outside of that would be considered a signature live event. So the event in Forney, the event in technically Saw Win is supposed to be a signature live event, but because the building that they're originally going to run in was affected by the hurricane that happened out there. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But then, Dothan, Alabama, that's supposed to be another signature live event. And,
that's what they get for booking Shane Helms.
They should have booked Shane Helms.
No, right now Hurricanes are heels.
Yeah, well, that's fine. He worked well as a heel. Besides, he's in the WWE right now.
Yeah, that's true. What's up with that?
What's up with that?
Yeah, I ain't hitting that note right now.
What's that?
I ain't hitting that note right now.
Yeah. Ryan Davis says NWA should go back to doing Power every Tuesday night at 6:05 on YouTube until they can get a streaming deal.
Ryan Davis, where are you from? Because I knew a Ryan Davis. You may be him, but the picture's hard to tell.
Why would they get a streaming deal?
Yeah, I don't know if that's even on the table at this point. And
maybe they have a streaming deal.
Yeah, maybe. Our pal Luthez said something that, again, I think I've said it before on this show, but I'll say it again. It made a lot of sense to me, because I keep looking at this like, how are they making a return on investment with this thing? How? Who pulled that up?
Sorry, that was me by mistake.
No, all good. That was from last show, but because we're in the same studio, like that's never mind. So Luthez brought up this idea that they don't care about the return on investment. They're caring about getting the most exposure for the brand. And I would still argue that YouTube is probably the largest platform in terms of video content and video content distribution. I think going to X gives them an opportunity to be seen by an audience that might not have seen them on YouTube before.
Why can't they be on both?
They can. And I got to be honest, if we're okay, as a content creator myself, right? Let's put the content creator hat on. YouTube kind of pays you per piece of content, right? So if I make a video short, I get paid a certain way. If I make a live video, I get paid a certain way. And if I just post a video, I get paid a certain way. The live video actually has the highest return on investment in terms of, if you get 1,000 eyeballs on the live video, it's worth more than getting 1,000 eyeballs on a short or 1,000 eyeballs on a regular video. Cool. So we know that the live video is the best way to earn money. And we're going to see Exodus Pro make their return to the NWA on November 11th. They'll be doing another live YouTube event as well. But then the other part that the NWA is doing is they're releasing a lot of content on YouTube as of late. A lot of matches are going up. In fact, I'm going to look right now, and I'll tell you some of the content that they've put up recently. And again, this is how they try to get more of that ROI, is they do their live, podcast, which is available on, Facebook or X or everywhere. But then by putting these matches up on their, page, like they just had the ladder match between Eric Smalls and Rolando from Crockett Cup. They put that up a day ago.
Yeah, that'll put asses in the seats.
Yeah, they put up the 2023 Burke Gauntlet match 5 days ago. 6 days ago, they put up the junior heavyweight #1 contenders match. and I believe that was on X. That match was on X, and then
Well,
they put up.
They basically released that week's episodes, but instead of being a show, they just released each episode individually.
Well, and I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say is
for each piece.
By putting these things up as one piece of content, you're getting more ROI on each piece. Because if it was a 2-hour block of video, counts as one piece of content, whereas a 15-minute match or 10-minute match counts the same. So maybe this is their strategy to get stretch a little bit of coin out of these videos that they're posting on YouTube.
Maybe.
I mean, that's just one person's idea. And then going back to what Luthez said is like, really, this should just be everywhere. The content should be available for everyone to see. But if they're trying to create a proof of concept for a streaming company, then I kind of understand why, taking the product to X, a platform not known for its video content distribution, and showing like, hey, we've got 120,000 on our first episode, 70 on the next one, 70 on the next one, 80 on the one after that. And they could show like, hey, we're managing a pretty large audience on a place that's not known for video content. Imagine what we could do for your streaming service. I don't know if that's a conversation that they're having. It's just something that I would assume as a, one business owner to another.
How many sources out there of video where something can be hyped on if you're trying to get the word out there of video content?
Do you mean like where can they place their like videos?
Yeah, somewhere that it's actually profitable for them. Let's say even if they make a small amount of money, where could they put out to make a small amount of money? YouTube and X, I know. Does Facebook pay?
I believe you can be monetized through Meta with a large enough audience. I'm not in that echelon yet of that talent, so I don't know. Putting it on TikTok, there you could also be compensated on that, but again, I don't know if that makes as much. And then also, I feel like, or I know, they could be on Twitch or Kick, and you don't have to stream the match live. This doesn't have to be live from the pay-per-view, but they could put it on these live things, and during a live audience, get more eyeballs and earn, potentially earn on those platforms.
I'll take a extremely hot Russian girl that I've been following, and she posts things on YouTube. Yeah. She posts things on TikTok, and she does the most with TikTok, so probably pays the best. She does things on Instagram. She has content on Facebook. She has content on X, but she doesn't post those nearly as much because they probably don't draw as much business. And I know she has a OnlyFans. So could the NWA, if they're really trying to get out there, post on all of that? And it's obviously, instead of OnlyFans, maybe, and Twitch too, she has a Twitch. Instead of OnlyFans, they do like only wrestlers that RVD and somebody came up with recently?
Yeah.
And that was the NWA theme.
Yeah. Well, I had the bright idea that, the WWE could have done stuff like that. When they used to do their bra and panty matches, that could have been exclusive for OF content. And when they did their, Raw Underground, they could have put that on, World Star. They could have done things like that to make it work. I don't know. Yes. To answer your question in the interim, yes, the NWA could be doing a lot of different things to create, at the very least, brand awareness, but probably, also hopefully, ROI, return on investment. Putting on these TV shows cannot be cheap. Poyo even mentioned, and Dave Marquez has said something similar. Those broadcasting trucks could cost up to $100,000 for a night.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about $100,000, like how many tickets do you have to sell just to pay for that truck, let alone the talent, the rent for the venue, and everything else that, the wrestlers, the commentators, the announcers, the referees, the everything. It all adds up. And how could he be getting any kind of ROI on X?
Well, see, and that's just one of those things that we honestly don't know what his goal is.
Yeah.
So we can say what we would do without knowing any of the books, any of the things involved. But it's very hard to give advice to something that I have no concept of. Well, how much is it actually costing? How much is he actually making? Where is the money coming from? We don't, it sounded like they were going to run more live events, and now it's kind of slowed down. Haven't heard anything recently about them. Of course, and to be honest, this time of year, it's not uncommon for a lot of promotions to stop promoting by October. They'll run a show in October and then they'll stop, and they may not come back to February because during the holidays, they don't draw well. AWA used to be the opposite. They used to not run much in summers because the summer
there's other things to do in the summer in Minnesota.
Yeah. So I do have a question for you, though.
Okay.
And this is serious. So I'm looking
but don't call me Shirley, okay?
I can't make any promises. So, I'm looking at the views on YouTube for let's say the last 4 videos.
Yes.
All right. So a day ago we had Eric Smalls and Rolando, and that's already at 3.7 thousand views. And did that happen at the event? I don't remember you guys talking about this.
No, yeah, that did, but the match that's on YouTube was from the Crockett Cup.
Okay, that's the Crockett Cup one. Okay, yeah. that already has 3.7 thousand views, and it's been a day.
Yeah,
that's not a lot.
Well, hold on, just wait. The Burke Gauntlet winner gets the title match has 23,000 views.
Is that last year's?
No,
not this year's.
Yeah, that's last year's.
Okay.
And the junior heavyweight #1 contender match, Jack Cartwheel versus Alex Misery, has 3.1 thousand views over 6 days. Now that's less than the ladder match. And then the Pretty Empowered versus It Girls, Information Technology Girls from Return to the Territories, which is a little over a week old, has 19,000 views.
Power of a booty.
But probably. But anyway, what I want to know is what does that actually tell us? And the one I'm very surprised by is Cartwheel versus Alex Misery. On Discord, they make it sound like Jack Cartwheel would be a savior almost. And it's like, man, people aren't watching that one. And so why? Why aren't people watching that one? Okay, why are people more interested in a ladder match with Eric Smalls and Rolando, which wasn't even Rolando, it was Slade,
Well, I think part of the problem is how are they marketing it? You know what one of the top viewed videos that I post on the Veamos Lucha Libre channel is? Stuff with Jack Cartwheel. He is an English-speaking, essentially an indie wrestler that has made appearances for Lucha Libre AAA, The Crash, But in the United States, he's a regular for AEW. He's appeared in Ring of Honor. He's regularly in NWA shows and does a ton of indies from the West Coast to the East Coast. But when I put him on my Spanish-speaking channel, he gets a ton of views. And I think if maybe the NWA did a little bit of advertising, they could probably attract that audience to come watch their shows because they're using somebody who's pretty well known in the lucha libre scene.
There's Billy calling him right now to try to trademark that idea.
not me.
That was me.
Yeah, he's going around you with DK because DK will sell you out for some good brisket.
Well, DK has worked for the NWA in the past, so
yeah.
You mean past? Anyway,
that's what I tried to say.
In case you don't know, he's a really good friend of Eazy-E.
Actually, if I'm going to be honest, it was Shane McMahon calling back to thank me for my advice of not going on AEW. So that's what it was. Okay, so what's in a year-old gauntlet match that makes it 7 times more popular than the recent number 1 contenders match?
One of the most popular matches on the Dog YouTube page is Notorious Mimi versus Vicious Vicky. Victorious Vicious, voluptuous, I don't know, all the V's that she has. And I have to constantly delete comments about both of their butts, mostly Mimi's. But it's based on the comments.
Maybe I need to go find that match.
Yes.
Based on comment on it again.
Yes. If you want to even share it in the YouTube, it's actually a really good match. If you like women's wrestling, it's a very good match. But that is one of the most popular matches I have on YouTube. Other ones have Valerie Vermin are some of the most popular week by week. The only non-women's match that gets a lot of attention is the Patriot versus Sean Donovan. But those are generally the matches with Mimi and Valerie and some of the ladies get the most views on the YouTube page. But yet they don't get the biggest reactions on the live crowd. So I think that people who don't want to go out to public like to watch women's wrestling through YouTube.
I would also like to point out that
so it's a bunch of pervs, is what you're saying.
Yes.
So Jaden, you need naked women.
No, it's okay. I mean, yes, I need more naked women, but not for YouTube.
Jay does.
So then, looking at the roster from last year's Mildred Burke Invitational Gauntlet, it was Kenzie Page, Allison Kay, CJ, Heather Monroe, La Brava Escobar, Max the Impaler, MJ Jenkins, Ruthie J, Samantha Starr, Sierra, Taylor Rising, and the Woad. So, I mean, I couldn't tell you why that match outperforms Alex Misery versus Jack Cartwheel. But
I know why. You want to know?
Sure.
Yeah.
MJ Jenkins.
When I said it, I felt like doing it, and I was like, I couldn't do it justice. I'll let Jaden do it.
Yeah, you need that, and you need Jar Jar Binks' favorite wrestler, Misa Kate.
Okay, so I'll grant you there's 20,000 perverts to 3,000
Wrestling fans.
Except for why is Smalls and Rolando and Slade out doing it?
Well,
they already have more viewers in one day than the other ones had in almost a week.
Maybe because it's a short match, and shorts do well on YouTube.
Short attention spans.
I can't argue that.
Shorts do very well on YouTube. The biggest short on Dog is Dave Dog getting squashed.
And that's a select audience as well, isn't it?
That's a lot of an audience. Apparently, everybody likes watching Dave Dog get hurt. You know, people ask me, does everybody hate Dave Dog? I'm like, no, everybody doesn't hate Dave Dog. Not everybody knows him yet.
Real quick, Ryan Davis also pointed out how many NWA fans actually know that Christy Janes can wrestle like hell. She's really good.
All of the ones that
NWA
watch
fans?
this podcast, apparently.
Yeah, NWA fans. If they're only watching NWA, then no, they have no idea that Christy James is a great wrestler, because even the NWA's portrayed her as kind of a buffoon, right? Like, she didn't really know how to lock up, and she wanted to do magic tricks in the match. They didn't treat her like the true athlete that she is. I've seen her countless times. I know she used to wrestle a lot in Texas. I think DK has probably seen her a handful of times. She's great. Yeah, she's a
Take your
great
handfuls
talent.
off of her.
And she wrestled in the NWA before they came up with the CJ character.
Yeah. Pretty empowered.
And so that's one of those, Billy imitating Tony Khan things. He can't leave well enough alone. He's got to gimmick it somehow. We've said in the past, there were several wrestlers that we've liked watching other places, but in the NWA, it doesn't work. And it's because he doesn't let them be the same people they are in the other places. He's got to have them be gimmicky in some ways.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, is your goal to make money? Is your goal to be successful? Or you just don't want to be Tony Khan? You got money you can waste, and so you'll waste it.
I think they both want to be Dixie Carter.
Well, I'll say Billy is more there than Tony Khan, but
that's because Tony has more money. You could spend more money on things and get things right. Not necessarily. Well, get more things right, I guess, is because if you have more things out there, you have more chance of doing something right, even if it's by accident.
David, I think they've actually had a match in the past. Like, it maybe not one-on-one, but I know they've shared. I can't even say I know. I'm almost certain that they shared a ring before, and now I'm going to look it up while we keep talking.
Well, we keep talking. If you guys have a chance, please actually watch the match between Vicious Vicky and Notorious Mimi, and just give it a like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you think. If you actually like the wrestling too, let me know.
And no perverted butt comments.
There's a lot of those. I have to delete a lot of them.
Raze and Shotzi Blackheart, who you guys know in the WWE as Shotzi, defeated Christy James and Safari Rain. I don't know who that is. And that was at a Sabotage event back in October of 2016 in California. Now, not for nothing, Sabotage was the precursor to what Mission Pro Wrestling is now. And that's where they, fought against each other in another Sabotage match when they were in Texas. Ruby Reyes defeats Alley Cat, Angel Blue, Baby D, Christy James, Caitlin Diamond, Callista, Phoebe, and Skylar Slice at Sabotage. She's Crafty in 2017. So, yeah, they have shared a ring together.
DK, would you be planning on booking any of them for a potential IHWE event?
We'll see how it goes. Everything boils down to money.
Yes.
Money
and buildings.
talks.
Buildings is actually worse than money right now for me. For dog, I mean.
Well, yeah, buildings are almost impossible. But at some point they'll want to get paid, and it's if I can afford to pay them or not.
Look, I think at this point you guys just need to buy a building and say the hell with it,
I'd love to build a sportatorium in Glassboro, New Jersey. I'm sure Dr. Zirconia, but I don't know what he does with all that money being that doctor, but he should take my idea and build a sportatorium.
Cheap booze and fast women.
There's a building here that I want to buy, but it's a little bit out of my league at the moment. But I've sent you guys pictures of it before in the past. I actually talked to them about doing an event there, but it would be like $1,500 to rent the building.
Oof. I think that's what the kids say. Oof.
I
just said, we'll think about it, and never contacted them again.
My new idea is there's a couple buildings that are not occupied right now, and I want to see about getting them to turn into community centers, and have me in charge so I can rent it to myself.
There you go.
Work.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad idea. Look, I was about to. I thought you were going to say I'm just going to go in there and do these pirate shows and hope to God nobody calls the police.
Well, the one, unfortunately, I know it's a nice building in a very nice location on a major road. The problem is it's filled with asbestos.
Oh,
so that's the reason nobody has taken over it.
That's not an easy fix either.
No, it basically.
There's a building here that I would love. It was an old gym used by a grade school, and it's basically the same thing. It would cost about $750,000 to get the building in shape and usable. And it was actually part of a city bond package offering, but it was one of the things that got turned down. Like almost all the bonds passed except for that one, and I think a new park.
So the stuff that's good for your community. But that Bobcat strip club got approved, huh?
I think the others were like water and sewer bonds, and well, no, it wouldn't be water and sewer because those are revenue bonds. They don't need the votes. But yeah, I don't remember everything. Oh, one was to buy a new building for the police and municipal court. So yeah, there were about 6 options. 4 passed, 2 didn't. And the cheapest one was the fix that spot up. And not only did it fail, but it failed
miserably.
Yeah.
Miserably faithful.
Well, and then as someone who has experience with buying commercial real estate, it's not always what it's cracked up to be. Sometimes it can be a very difficult process. And so sometimes if the city doesn't want you, they'll make it very clear that they don't want you by putting so many obstacles in your way. It makes it difficult to do anything with the property that you spent a lot of money on.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
City of Coolidge, I'm looking at you.
City of what?
I said the city of Coolidge, I'm looking at you. What's funny is a friend of the show, Navajo Warrior. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him or not. It used to be would compete
one half of the tag team champions in championship wrestling from Hollywood, right?
Good for you. Yes, you remembered. He's become a friend of the family, and his wrestling company, IZW out in Arizona, just ran an event in Coolidge, and I'm like, man, that's a missed opportunity. I could have helped out on that one. But we'll get
championship wrestling from Coolidge, from Jennifer Coolidge.
Totally want a hot dog. I know I blew it, but whatever. All right, so let's get back to the NWA because I think we should at least mention the growth for the content on X. I mean, the numbers aren't fantastic, right? But I don't know that I hate them. You know, the first episode is well over 170,000 views now. And then the second episode...
yeah, but I think that one cheated.
Okay.
Had Billy Corgan with a major announcement.
Okay, that's fair too, but you can't deny that those numbers do exist. And,
yeah, I mean, it's the first one. They're going to be bigger, always. And then there was that big announcement that they kind of implied was about what their future deals are.
What the future of the NWA is, yeah.
Yeah, and so the future apparently was we're not
going anywhere.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're here forever.
Of course, they're not going anywhere. Not with that crap they put on. Right?
All right, so the second episode still did, and we're a couple weeks removed now, but still did over 70K, which I think is respectable. The third episode did 80K. So like it dropped a little bit, then bounced back up for the second episode. And then the most recent episode, we're only 2 days into it. It's already at almost 60,000 views. So they are getting some traction on X. Now, what does that mean? I can't tell you. I don't know. And again, I don't know Billy's end game. I don't know how many people are watching for 5 minutes or watching for an hour. I don't know. But, what we could say is that the visibility on X is growing, or not growing, I should say, but staying consistent. And I think a number of, 70,000, to me, that sounds like a victory for the NWA.
I'd love to have 70,000. I'd sure dog or any of smaller ones.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, this is YouTube. It's not X. If we have 1,000 viewers on this channel, I'm doing great. Like that's good numbers for us. We get about 100 people that'll watch this episode, and if I had 60,000 people all of a sudden watch an episode of this podcast, man, I could probably quit my day job. So, anyways, getting back to the numbers on YouTube or on X, I mean, they're pretty decent. And I would say this, like, if I'm Billy, I got to be happy with the results that I have thus far, which leads me to believe, like, I think this is how they're going to continue to go until somebody comes to them and says, hey, we want to put you on our service, or we want to pay to produce your show, or something that is, more beneficial than eyeballs, because at the moment they're doing pretty well on X.
I mean, this has always been one of the things I've always thought. I don't want to overstate it, and I don't want to understate it either. I mean, these are decent numbers compared to what they were drawing on YouTube.
Yeah.
But compared to what they were drawing on YouTube when they were exclusive there, they're also about the same.
Yeah.
And so, I don't want to. And by the time they were at the end of their YouTube run, they were drawing some of their lowest YouTube numbers that they ever drew. And so it's like, is it good? Well, what am I comparing it to? Somebody was trying to compare it to TNA, but it's like, well, some TNA stuff it's not the same. Even if there's a TNA only show, that's not their primary show. And, segments that are available other places to be seen. The one thing that helps us is that when it's in one place, we can see what the numbers are, right, with one place, not having to run around and try and figure out what it is, well, if I add all these numbers and how many are actually repeat people, like I said, this week I was able to watch the show, except for I kept dozing off. But, like last week, it kept crashing on me. So I literally watched it 5 times, started up 5 times and then tried to fast forward to where it was. And, people thought I was joking, but I was serious. Is that 5 views or not? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
And other people have told me similar things about, crashing and having to go back and see things. And it's just like, I don't know what the views are. I don't know what's good. And like in YouTube, the number that matters more is time watched, from what I understand. Is that correct, Jay?
I'm not entirely sure how it works out. I honestly, I just don't know.
Because, people have told me before that time watched, and they go, that's why sometimes like 15-minute videos do better than hour videos, because I can watch a 15-minute video without much problem, but I'll get tired watching the hour-long video 15 minutes in and yank it to something else.
What my understanding is with X, and again, I don't know if this is 100% certain, but it's all about your level of engagement. And I feel like they changed their algorithm, the way that, or not necessarily the algorithm, but they changed the way they paid content creators on X because I guess it was getting to be too easy to get a large audience. So they wanted engagement. How many people are watching your show? How many people are interacting and commenting during the show, retweeting, liking, all of that stuff. And I feel like that now is how they measure it. But I don't even know if that's for certain. That's just my understanding.
That would make sense because I did notice that, like this week especially, NWA retweeted everybody who retweeted the show.
Yep.
So if you were on the NWA timeline post, you could see the show about 20 different times because they retweeted Polio retweeting and they retweeted Kenzie Page and you name it, and they retweeted somebody. And so I certainly saw far more retweets this time. I did not retweet it, so sorry.
Is it really retweeted or is it Xing out or something?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, it's not called Twitter, so how can it be retweeting?
Oh, shit.
It's called reposting.
I like Xing out, though. Hey, check this post out, guys. I'm going to really need you to exit out.
More like composting with the shit they put out there.
That was good. You got me. That was good. All right. So let's look a little bit about what's coming up for the NWA, if you guys don't mind. Obviously, like we had a pretty big week of Power. We'll talk to that momentarily. Also, we got to shout out real quick. We'll get to that later, too. Never mind.
Real quick, before you shout anybody out or get to anything real quickly, this is my favorite part is actually what's coming up with the NWA, as weird as it sounds. I like the possibility of the future more than I like what they actually do with it half the time.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, right? So, well, I guess that I'll get back to that one in a little bit. This is going to happen after Samhain for our world's heavyweight champion, Tom Latimer. Based on that poster, you might think that he's going to be taking on James Storm, but I heard it might be actually Low Key or Crazy Steve. But, I look in the back there. Doesn't that look like Damian Wayne in the back there?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, how cool would that be if Damian Wayne got a
shot? That'd be great. Damian Wayne. Where is this? Tennessee?
Clarksville, yeah.
That's close to where he lives.
Yeah. Remusking is what James H. Jackson calls the action formerly known as retweeting.
By the way, that's also a former NWA tag team champion in the picture. Chase Stevens.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple former NWA World Tag Team Champions in that photo. Damian Wayne, James Storm. What did you guys? I forgot what you said his name. I know who he is.
Chase Stevens.
There it is.
And I think that's is that not Andy Douglas? That was what was Chase Stevens' other partner when he was Hot Shots?
Cassidy O'Reilly.
Yeah, that might be Cassidy O'Reilly on the corner too, but I haven't seen him in a really long time, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good lineup. That's a lot of talent, good talent on that card. That's what I have to do. And Rodney Von Rocken, in case you're wondering, he works for Ohio Valley, and I think he's originally from Tennessee. He was on Tough Enough, and if you saw him on Tough Enough, you would not believe it's the same person, but it's the one that used to be known as Shitstain.
Don't know that one.
No, he was the one they made fun of. That was later dating the fake daughter of Tracy Smothers.
Oh, yeah.
Which fake daughter?
The one that actually calls her last name Smothers.
Jessie Bell?
Yeah.
Because there was another.
Yeah, that was she actually wrestled under a different gimmick for a long time, and then was the
yeah, Mickey Knuckles would go some places with her and wrestle as another
Smothers brother.
Another Smothers brother.
Smothers sister.
All right. Moving along.
Brother on a wrestling sense.
Big announcement coming to the World League Wrestling on their 25th anniversary show. That's going to be happening the following weekend after Samhain. Joe Galli is going to be there to make a historic announcement.
Chris Dog rolling in his grave.
Also on this card, we have The manager of champions, Aaron Stevens, will be in the house. Also on this card, we'll see the World Tag Team Champion, Trevor Murdoch, in an over-the-top rope battle royal. Also on this card, we'll see the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion defending his title against Sean Logan. And although I have the rest of the card too. I mean, there's going to be the WLW tag titles will be on the line. The WLW Junior Heavyweight title will be on the line. And the WLW Heavyweight Championship will be on the line. Are we looking at the next affiliate territory of the NWA?
Chris Dog is crying right now.
I mean, I think I have a pretty good case here. Like, they've been featuring Trevor Murdoch quite a bit. I don't know what his role in that company is, if he's just a performer or if he's helping out run the show. I'm not sure. I know that he used to live in St. Louis. That's where he received his training from Harley Race. That's where Trevor Murdoch became Trevor Murdoch, was at World League Wrestling. And so my question to you guys is, do you think that this is a precursor to WLW becoming an NWA affiliate?
Yes.
Probably.
And do you think this is a little auspicious because Texas sized wrestling, TSW?
Style.
Texas style?
It's Texas style wrestling. Texas style wrestling has already kind of let the cat out of the bag. They've already told people that they're going to be an NWA affiliate, and it sounds like that announcement will be made in Forney, Texas in January, formally. But, do you feel like the WLW becoming a part of the NWA before TSW, do you think that's problematic, DK?
No. I mean, well, first of all, I'm not even 100% sure that's what's happening, but
sure.
Second of all, look, affiliates and all this and the greater scheme of things doesn't change anything that they do or how they operate or what, how they run. It's just.
I actually have it on good authority what the announcement is going to be now. I just got some information, scoop, if you will.
Okay.
I heard that Joe Galley is going to be making the announcement that World League Wrestling won't be going anywhere.
Shit. That's terrible, but funny. Very, very funny.
In a different way than the NWA not going anywhere.
Yeah. Nowhere Alliance.
Oh, man.
Come on, that was great.
It was, yeah, sure it was. It's hilarious. You're a very funny man, Mr. Jaden.
He is? Oh, yeah, he is. I'm sorry.
You were paid to say nice things about Jaden. Get that Dr. Z money keep coming in.
I haven't gotten my check.
Well, that's
my direct deposit, my check.
He asked Paul Heyman to write it for you.
Say that again?
He asked Paul Heyman to write that check for him.
That's the problem.
All right, so what's next? Wow. Apparently he didn't pay that. He needed that check to pay his electric bill.
Well, I'm sure he'll be back momentarily.
His internet bill or something.
Something went wrong, right?
You've got to click the button. What else? What's next? What else is going on?
So we know that WLW is having that event, and again, they're all, their next event after that also features Trevor Murdoch, where he'll be challenging for the WLW Championship if Superstar Steve is successful in his title defense a week earlier. That title match will be, excuse me, that's not a title match. I misspoke. Just Superstar Steve versus Trevor Murdoch. I thought that was a title match. Never mind. So that takes place the following week, and that also coincides with the event that's coming up on November the 15th for Night of Murdoch. This is going to be a night they're actually celebrating Trevor Murdoch down in Crossfire Wrestling. That's the only card, the only match listing that I have. And then also on November 9th, we've got Tom Latimer heading to EPW Wrestling. Again, this is if he is successful in retaining the 10 pounds of gold against EC3 on Saul Win. And then, of course, the next card that's lined up. Now, there are more shows happening, and there will be more shows, but the usual suspects takes place November 16th. That will be available on youtube.com/the NWA, where Thom Latimer will have to defend his 10 pounds of gold against the former champion EC3 and Richard Holiday, who has been a thorn in the side of EC3 in pursuit of that title belt. So there are a lot of events coming up featuring NWA talent. And, I'm feeling like this is all positive for the NWA, Jaden. You said that the future of the NWA is more interesting to you than the present of the NWA. But what do you think about this? These matches that are coming up, these shows these events?
Other shows.
Fair enough.
I really like the one that has, the one in Tennessee. That one has my most attention.
Yeah.
I like the lineup. I like the wrestlers on there. I mean, it'd be awesome to see Damian Wayne against Thom Latimer. It'd be nice to see Chase Stevens, do something well and maybe make a good impression and get to be seen by the NWA. So that'll be pretty damn cool. It's got some good talent on the card. It's got a good. The James Storm's pretty awesome too. I'm a big fan of him. So I like that one. That's got me most excited. The World League Wrestling is going to be good if it's an NWA affiliate or member promotion or whatever they're calling them nowadays. That's great. I think I know Chris is probably right now crying in his milk, but I actually like the idea. It's the NWA needs some grassroots because they ain't doing any money in actual advertising. Yeah. They're not really putting that out very well. So I like they need some grassroots to get out there. If you can't put money, if you're not going to put money into trying to grab attention that way, then this is the best way to grab attention because you can make a whole new bunch of NWA fans by having Thom Latimer defend that title and against big wrestlers and against these promotions and that are meaning something. So I think that is a good idea.
Yeah, and I would also add that. Anytime that the title gets visibility, I think that's important. Latimer did have a few title defenses in New York. He had the title defenses in Chicago, and also both at the Riot Fest and at the NWA Chicago event. So I feel like that's a very positive move for the NWA.
Matches against Damian Wayne is more for us than say the public fan, even though I guess in that area he probably would be a lot.
Yeah.
But if he does have matches against James Storm, if he does have matches against Chase Stevens, if he does have matches against EC3 and Richard Holiday and is out there wrestling in these promotions against top talent, I think it can make a big difference. It will. He needs right now to solidify his NWA reign and make his legacy. This is his legacy. And if he can go out there and do that, he can actually carry the NWA on his shoulders like Aldis used to and like EC3 did for a while. And like Tyrus did, but unfortunately there's so many zits and stuff like that, nobody can see the NWA.
Well, and and you touched on it a few weeks ago. Thom Latimer is the least known NWA World Champion when it comes to that greater wrestling scene. I mean, Nick Aldis, you watch him every Thursday for SmackDown or Fridays for SmackDown, right?
Yeah. Friday, I think.
Cody Rhodes is on Raw or SmackDown carrying the world's universal heavyweight most prestigious title in history belt. You look at Trevor Murdoch, he was a former WWE guy when he was champion. Matt Cardona, former WWE guy, king of the indies, if you will. You said Tyrus, he's on Fox News every Friday night or whatever. And you've got
seen from orbit.
Yeah. And you have all these guys with all this history who have held the 10 pounds of gold. Tim Storm is still on the show. But again, outside of Tim Storm, Thom Latimer has had the least bit of exposure as a wrestler, and is the world's heavyweight champion. So he's got to work extra hard to kind of put that exclamation point next to the NWA name. It was easy for EC3. EC3 is a guy who's, NXT, TNA wrestling. he'd been seen in a lot of different places. So for him to pick up the 10 pounds of gold and get booked everywhere, that seems like about par for the course. Where Tom Latimer has been, killing it in the NWA for quite some time. But this is his opportunity to showcase the 10 pounds of gold, to showcase the world's heavyweight championship. And again, he's going to have a harder time getting booked because of just the fact that people don't know him as well as they did some of the former champions.
He had his biggest, I think, attention when he was NWA tag team champion, because that's when the NWA was at its absolute peak.
Yeah.
I don't think they did very well by making him TV champion and national champion, not because they made him the champion, because they didn't do well with him as champion.
Yeah.
And I think that really would have made a big difference in how he was perceived now as champion. You could still talk about him, former television champion, former tag team champion, quadruple crown champion, but they didn't do a good job as TV or national champion. So I think that's where they dropped the ball. So he needs to pick that ball up and just run with it now and really get his name out there. And again, like I said, the NWA, the Damian Wayne's more for the NWA guys and maybe locally. But if he can come back to that territory, and he has Chase Stevens, and he has James Storm, and he has Cassidy Riley, and he has anybody else out there, then he can wrestle these other territories and get his name out there. I'd love to see him in World League Wrestling against, even if it's against Trevor Murdoch. I think that match can mean something a lot for him, his legacy, and for the World League Wrestling. So I think
that's such a great call. That's such a yes, absolutely, Jaden. WLW at the very least has this partnership with the NWA. If nothing becomes more formal, and if it doesn't become a territory, at the very least they have this friendly working agreement where they've already showcased NWA talent in the past. And if you put a title match with Tom Latimer versus Trevor Murdoch for the 10 pounds of gold, knowing that Trevor's a former 2-time champion, and I don't think he ever got to defend that title in WLW. I think he showed up at SICW, but I don't think he got to defend the 10 pounds of gold in St. Louis for World League Wrestling. I think that would be a pretty big deal for not only Trevor, but for that WLW crowd.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe he needs to do a EC3 route and maybe Ohio Valley, go down there.
Yeah.
There's some talent in there that, they're already using Ronnie Von Rocket. That could be maybe the promotion in Tennessee could be a gateway to working with Ohio Valley. And there's other promotions out there that have some name value that they could use an elevation of the NWA, and the NWA could use an elevation. It can be very symbiotic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right now, working for what's his name? I just had Kevin Kelly in Pennsylvania. He does pretty good crowds in Pennsylvania for an old school wrestling. I think an NWA match could mean something for him and help Latimer too. And there's other promotions out there that I think Latimer can get his name. And he doesn't have to stay with the NWA territories. Even if he does, that's still good for him, in my opinion. But he does need to get out there if he's willing and able, and if he can get the bookings. If not, find somebody who can get you the bookings. Damian Wayne and Chance Prophet and Dirty Money. They had somebody really good at getting their name out there and getting them into other promotions. And I think that'll be great for them. I hate to say it, but there's a promotion that runs in Philly at the arena regularly, and it's run by Feinstein. And while I had nothing to do with it, it does grab a lot of attention, and I think something Latimer could do there. I don't just stay out of the GCWs personally, but there's other stuff out there that's that has a lot of eyeballs that you can get your name out there and really do something with.
The other one that I think makes a lot of sense too is CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling.
Yes,
and not because it's a hotbed for pro wrestling, but for the areas that it runs quite frequently. And again, just getting more eyeballs on the world champion. It's a great idea.
And I'm sure they have a partnership with Crash and AAA. Latimer could really mean something by defending the title of Mexico.
Yeah, that would be and he's been to Mexico before. He's wrestled for Lucha Libre AAA, not only as the World is a Vampire tour, but also he was involved with the NWA. Excuse me, that was the Lucha Libre World Cup. I believe he represented the international team. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot potential, a lot of things that could happen. I think that would be beneficial. But let's talk about Tuesday night's Power. And then once we get wrapped up with Power, we'll talk about Saul Win, and then we'll call it a night. Now, Jaden, you were represented by Milk Mascaras. DK, you saw the replay on Twitter. I did both. This was a mixed bag. It was, like for the two things that I really, really liked, I did not really, really like the Smalls Rolando shenanigans. I don't see the appeal of that. And I'll just start with that first. Jaden, if you remember, I got up to get you a bottle of water. I got myself a Coke because I was just over this match. I didn't need to see a replay of what I saw at Crockett Cup. And I got to miss all of it in its entirety because I was talking to some other people that were there in New Jersey. And then I got my seat and the match was over, thankfully. So seeing it live, I don't feel like I could do it justice. But Jaden, you were there live. And how do you feel like the crowd reacted to that?
The obnoxious drunk people behind us seemed to like it. But the actual people that were there for NWA Wrestling didn't seem to like it. And honestly, it's a real waste of Spencer Slade. There's a guy who's a blue chipper that they could be building up. And again, it's counterproductive to do hey, let me give you a bunch of shit. And if you stay around and you don't say anything and you're a good soldier, then I'll start pushing you. And, it's just so dumb on that. Spencer Slade deserves way more. He's a very talented wrestler. I guess I know he was talking about being on the thing. Maybe we should revisit that to see if we can get him on the show. Maybe get some eyeballs on him so people know how good he is. But he is a really good wrestler, and he deserves better. And again, I don't mind if you have a midget on a wrestling card. It's old school. It's something, for the kids. It's not the greatest thing in the world. I could definitely see it maybe once every 6 months or maybe once a year at best on some kind of special occasion. But this wasn't it. It wasn't entertaining. At least I've seen midget matches that are funny, and there's a lot of garbage out there. And there's one called Micro Championship Wrestling. I would take that over what I saw. So that should tell you, how bad I didn't like it.
They ran in my backyard recently, and I was like, should I go? Kind of.
Well, if your backyard, you probably should have kicked them out. They at least pay your rent.
Hey, no, I mean, within, a 10 to 15 minute driving radius.
How big is your backyard? Jeez.
I got that B at 4R money. So, but no, really, this is, again, not a matchup that I cared too much about while it was happening live. DK, what were your thoughts on watching this match and this event?
Real quick, first of all, it was a show, not an event. Second of all, at least it was short. Okay, DK, I'll be here all week. Try the fish.
All right. So let's talk about this.
All right.
I'm done.
That was too long, DK.
What puzzled me about it, and I'll just go over it a little bit. First of all, Billy Corgan put over Slade, said that he could see him holding the singles title.
Yes.
Which I think everyone here would agree with that. And I wish he was the next TV champion. The second part was this was supposed to be the payoff for what happened at the Crockett Cup. And then, of course, that didn't happen. It was an impromptu match and then an impromptu 2-on-1. And then another person who I have no idea who that person was. I don't even know the person's name. I'm going to have to look it up right now.
It was Grimm, right?
Yeah, Grimm. Okay.
Grimm's a Maryland wrestler. He's a nice guy.
Okay, I have no idea who he is and why he showed up at the.
And by a nice guy, I don't mean he's a nice guy. I mean he's a nice guy.
He's a nice enough guy. No, you mean he's a good dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
is he known in that area, Jaden?
Not Philly. He does wrestle in Maryland. He's got some size on him. He's got some strength. He used to have some power moves. He reminded me of if Monty Brown ate too many Cheetos. But he's a good talent. He's more competent than some wrestlers that I've seen in the NWA. Much better than what he was put into, I should say.
Yeah.
Him and Slade might have had an okay match by themselves.
Should we
I would have rather seen that.
Should we put the world junior heavyweight title on Slade?
With his weight?
It's not that big. I doubt he weighs over 225.
Maybe it's the illusion, but I thought he was taller. Too tall. And again, Kerry Morton's pretty tall too, I think.
Yeah.
They don't list his weight on Cage Match.
Damn you, Cage Match, failing us once again.
Failing us always and forever.
Always and forever.
Let's see.
Somebody needs to update Cage Match with all the dog champions.
Yeah, I don't know how you get them to do that.
Send them results. You send them a message with the results and what dates are.
So they used to just troll the Alliance blog and SoCal Uncensored, so I didn't have to do anything. It was just done for me.
Troll as in they made fun of you guys?
No, they just scrolled. They just scrolled onto the page and got the content from there.
They stalked your page.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay.
I can't find his weight. I've looked at 3 different websites and I haven't seen it yet. So
text them.
Maybe.
Message them. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I mean, on Facebook. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. Well, not right now. We spent enough time on that. But yeah, him with the junior title. I mean, I don't hate the idea, but I feel like perception-wise that he feels a lot bigger than the guys that are in the junior heavyweight division.
I know he's working for TNA right now, but I would have loved him and Ray Jazz as a tag team.
Spencer Slade?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a good Italian though. He don't make a good full-blooded Italian.
It doesn't make a very good. It doesn't make a very good spectacular either.
He's too talented for that. He's not doesn't make a good midget either.
He's billed at. So billed at, take a grain of salt. He's billed at 6'2", 233.
He's probably around 215. He's really muscular though. I'll give him credit on that. He might be 220.
Yeah, I could see him around 220, which is under 225. So I could see him. And anybody who's only seen him in the NWA, go search him on YouTube, because as Jaden says, he is so much better.
You know who brought him to my attention?
No, who?
Dirty Money.
Who? Oh, Dirty. I was going to say, you probably told me before, but I don't.
Yeah. Dirty Money brought him to my attention.
So he definitely looks like he can wrestle, so to speak.
Yes, he can. He can shoot too.
Dead giveaway.
The
headgear's a dead giveaway.
Well, I don't know. Some people wear headgear who can't wrestle, but
Buddy Roberts can't box, and he wore headgear for a while.
Yeah, I remember
that. So I think the match that actually opened up the card was the 4-way for the NWA US Tag Team titles. Now, as the champions, this has got to be the dumbest match to accept, because you could lose the titles, a myriad of different options, and you have to beat 4 other teams. Well, I mean, you have to beat one team, but you've got 3 other teams that are preventing you from doing just that. So this one is definitely stacked in the favor of everybody else but Talos and Daisy Kills. Now, this matchup was also very relaxed in the rules. We did see a lot of outside interference. I mean, at one point, Vampiro's in the ring chopping guys. And it's like, I don't have a problem per se with more relaxed rules. I just wish it was consistent. If Vampiro's in there chopping dudes, then we don't need to hide using a branding iron as a weapon in the match either. It just feels like it was all for, everything was up for grabs. They could do whatever they wanted, because it didn't feel like we could see your laundry, DK.
Can.
Yeah.
Well.
You're unmentionables.
No, there are no unmentionables. In fact, all it is betting.
But getting back to the match, to me, it wasn't bad. I liked how the slime balls tried to trick everybody and get the easy victory. I thought that was funny and a good use of slime balls trying to outthink the system. Obviously, this was also the debut of like the Colonel Sanders version of Papa Joe Kazana, and the Kazana boys wearing all white. One thing they did noted on commentary, and I didn't really notice at the live event, was that AJ really didn't get into that ring until like towards the end of the match, and he's probably one of the best guys in the ring. So it was kind of an interesting choice. But I like the match overall, but I just wish the rules would have been consistent. Because again, if it's not cheating for outside interference, then why is a foreign object cheating? DK, what did you think watching it on X?
Yeah, especially that doesn't make sense real quick. And I mean, if you can't have a foreign object, then Vampiro shouldn't be there. He's from Canada.
And resides in Mexico.
Go ahead, DK.
Yeah, I can't argue either one of those points. The match itself, of course, I hate 4 ways when it's just 4 guys, 4 teams. It's ridiculous. I was glad the Country Gentleman won because I don't like Talos and Daisy Kill as tag team champions. But one thing is, I swear, I'm growing more and more impressed with Daisy Kill. I still hate the name, but just his presence, the full beard, I thought helped a lot. Instead of just kind of the more unshaven look, or a little bit of growth. I don't know. I think he's somebody that you could build up to be a player, at least in the upper mid card.
Well, that's good. They need to. They need
they need to, and they barely built anybody up, and honestly, I'm not impressed with Talos. I don't know if he needs to be heat or not. Maybe he's just greener than I like, but I do see something in Daisy Kill. I mean, the only person who the NWA's had any bit of success, and 90% of it's on him, is Thrillbilly Silas Mason. But I think you could look at Daisy Kill, and again, having seen him in person and everything, he's got size, he's got the build, he's you can start going down the checklist. He has a look.
It drives the girls wild. Oh, sorry.
Well, I mean, under the right circumstances, yeah, I think he probably could. And, he might work out better as a face. He may work out better as a heel. I'm not sure which. But his skill in the ring's not bad at all. I mean, I don't watch him and go, oh, God, no. So I think he's good in the ring. I think he has a lot of what it takes to at least be in the upper mid card, and then you can watch him from there and see if he's got the main event thing. I think he can talk. I wish he'd talk a little bit more convincingly sometimes, but sometimes he's more comedy act than he is wrestler. I like to see him present himself as kind of a badass wrestler. And I tell you what, I think he could pull it off. And I think that if he pulled that off, I wouldn't care what his name was.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot in there. I mean, yay for the Cassandra boys who are heels now, apparently.
Yeah.
For winning the title, the U.S. titles. I think they are perfect for the U.S. titles, especially with the younger brother in there now, who's starting to look a little bit better himself. And so
I thought the little KC looked pretty good at Crockett Cup. And then you find out that he's only been wrestling for about 6 months before that, or maybe I guess a year before Crockett Cup, but about 6 months before he debuted in the NWA. That's pretty promising, to be quite honest.
Yeah, he looked better at Crockett Cup. I thought he looked better here. Even better than Crockett Cup. I think he's got some. I think he's heading the right direction. So, and I think that's where they need to be. I think once they have their run as the tag team, I'd like to see AJ out as a singles competitor. I think he and Thrillbilly can have a wonderful feud. And so it's just, I see so much potential. And, again, Daisy Kill's almost like Thrillbilly. When you first watch him, you're like, oh, what the hell am I seeing? but they show you that they have what it takes. And that's what I like. I like when you can show me you have what it takes. And I want someone to give Spencer Slade that opportunity, because I'm watching him in these other promotions going, damn, that boy can wrestle. And I'm watching him struggle with a midget in the NWA. It's like, what the F?
Maybe it's like the Princess Bride theory, where Andre couldn't handle the Black Pirate, Dread Pirate Roberts, because he's so used to fighting multiple people.
Maybe
he can't handle midgets because he's so used to throwing around big people.
You say big people, then say the derogatory term for little people.
What am I going to call him big people? He's not a giant.
Anyway, here we go to the little people, to the big people, to the giants.
Well, and then going back to this match, because I also want to hear Jaden's thoughts on it too. During the broadcast, Billy even said, the Fixers haven't won a match in a while. I don't know why I put them in this thing. Well, they were former champions, so I guess that's why we put them in. And I just sat there listening to that, thinking, what the hell, Billy? You just acknowledged that they haven't done shit all year, but you put them in because they used to be champions a year ago. They haven't done anything since they lost the belts. The Fixers are probably the most problematic tag team in the NWA right now, because both of those guys are far more talented than what a lot they've been dealt in the NWA.
That's everything in the NWA.
Yeah, go ahead.
The sad thing behind that is that they finally started wrestling more seriously, like when they first came in.
Yeah, but they're not getting pushed. They're not getting anything.
Right, and then I tell you who'd be turning over in his grave hearing that if he were dead would be Bill Watts, because Bill Watts chewed out Jim Ross one time for not talking very highly of one of the enhancement talent they had on TV. And it pissed Watts off. He goes, never put down a guy that's in my wrestling ring.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying he's not worthy of being in there, then I look like an idiot for having him in there. And he read Ross the riot act for it.
Yeah.
And it's just, don't put down somebody you have on. But of course, Billy likes to have his tag teams go on losing streaks before they win titles. I haven't figured it out.
Oh, that's a funny way segue, because that's exactly what happened in the main event. Oh, well, Jaden, I'm sorry. I do want to hear your opinion on this one.
Is I? No, just kidding. I like the fixtures. I really do. I wish they used them better. I really like the Kazana boys, country gentlemen. I like them a lot. I like talking to Joe Kazana that night. It was really cool talking to him for a good 20 minutes. I don't like the slime balls. I think someone needs to send them back to 1990s Nickelodeon and get rid of them. And I agree with DK about Daisy. He has some potential. He could be more. Really didn't see anything in Talos, but maybe I'm not seeing him at his best. Maybe outside the NWA, he's a great wrestler.
Do me a favor, Jaden. Say, stay on target.
Megatron, it's Starscream.
Yeah, you turned
by your command.
You did go all robot again. So yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of good talent in that match, and it was, again, it could have been a heck of a lot worse. I will say this, and I know I'm going to catch heat from you, DK, but I don't think I hate the slime balls as much as I did. You're muted again.
Stop doing that. I don't hate the slime balls.
Okay.
Jaden does.
Okay.
But I don't hate them. When used appropriately, I think they're fine.
Do you feel like they were used appropriately in this match?
They were used better in this match than they are in some. Look, the slime balls are best when they're used as enhancement talent, where the little one is a mouthy snot who gets beat up. And was it them versus the Immortals that I loved so much?
Yeah.
Because the Immortals went in and basically squashed them. And it was like, that's the right way you use the slime balls. Now, does that mean that the slime balls can never grow and mature and be better? I don't know. I watched the Freebirds' first tag match. And, they got squashed. Despite Michael Hayes talking the same way he talked his entire career. And it took time. They had to grow. They had to get experience. They had to develop. And that's the slime balls probably need, some good ring work, some maturing, because they both look very young. I don't know how old they are, but they both look very young. But, use them in there for enhancement to get beat up. Then, you can put them in against another enhancement team where they can get a win here or there. So they have a purpose, and if you use them for the purpose, I'm fine with them. Should they have been in the U.S. tag title match? No. Does it help that it was a four-way? I don't know. I hate four-ways. I think it shows kind of the state of the current tag team wrestling scene. They got 2 championships, and I'm not really sure who the top contenders are for either set of titles.
They've got like 6 tag teams for like real, like legitimate tag teams. Anyways, just thinking one last thing about the slime balls. They totally, watching Sage, I guess, is the smaller guy, totally reminded me of Johnny Yuma. Watching it again for a second time, and you guys remember Johnny Yuma was Captain Yuma in the NWA briefly. I don't know where that guy went, but he used to wrestle in Southern California. Had a few appearances in TNA wrestling. Of course, was a multi-champion for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And I just kept thinking, man, that Sage really reminds me of Johnny Yuma. That's all I wanted to talk about.
You must be crazy. No, sorry.
Yeah. Do you have any more that you would want to say about this one, or are we good?
We're good. Next.
So next was obviously one of the highlights of the entire weekend for your boy Jay. Anytime that you get to see an athlete who has natural charisma, I think the kids call it Riz. The Riz. Ella Envy's got it, and she's got it in spades, and that's probably why they call them the It Girls, because they're just really good at, getting over. Now, what bothered me about this matchup is that you put a team who in the NWA have only had one match prior, and it was against Kenzie and Kylie, and they lost. Now, it was an entertaining match. Well, DK wouldn't have liked that match. She didn't like that. But I thought it was a good enough match when it appeared on Return of the Territories. But as a tag team, Ella Envy and Samantha Starr have done almost nothing to warrant getting this title match. So that was my biggest problem with it, was you put them in a position where they shouldn't have been in. and I get it that there's a lack of competition in the NWA. There's a lack of women's tag teams. If that's the case, then don't have this match, because I feel like you put in Ella Envy and Samantha Starr with almost zero heat into this matchup. And it just, I keep feeling like, well, why did they get that matchup? Now, the cool thing is now we could say that Ella Envy is a 4-time women's champion with 4 different partners. I don't think there's been a tag team wrestler in the NWA in the modern era that's held a title 4 different times with 4 different partners. Jaden, what did you think of this one? And did you feel like it was a fun match?
It was okay. It wasn't a bad match. I enjoyed it. I did have to clean up a little drool on the ground from some fan. There was some fan. There was a fan that was really drooling everywhere.
Sorry.
But it was a good match. I can see potential in Ella Envy. The what were they called? The Queen Bees or the King Bees or
the King Bees?
They seemed, they had some talent. They had some potential. Samantha Starr is a 3rd-generation wrestler and has her grandfather, her uncle, her father, her mother, all have been involved with her grandmother, have all been involved with professional wrestling.
Her aunt.
Her aunt. Yes, her aunt too. So yeah, they've all been involved in professional wrestling for a while, and that's great, to see a 3rd-generation wrestler in the NWA with an NWA lineage. It was a good match. It was okay. It was the crowd was silent. I think that was the biggest surprise of the whole thing, is the crowd just didn't seem to care. Did it come off better on television? I
thought so. But DK, take yourself off of mute and tell us what you thought about this one.
I didn't love it, but I thought it was okay. I've had a hard time with the King Bees. We were talking earlier, they're a team that came in, challenged for the tag team titles and lost, and then challenged for the tag team titles and won.
It should have proved itself.
Yeah, we don't know why they, were given no title shot. They didn't win any other match in the NWA. That just happened. And so, okay, they had decent runs, saw them live, didn't have anything against them when we saw them live. I think they're hurt by the lack of teams, which we'll talk about again when we get to Samhain, Saw Win, Jigsaw, whatever the next show is called. And
you said next show or nut show? Because I don't want to go to the nut show.
Next show.
Okay.
And I was glad Ella Envy and Samantha Starr won. I don't hate Samantha Starr like some people on Discord do. I think she's fine. A little green, but fine. You can tell Ella Envy's the personality. Even when she was with Pretty Empowered and the Page sisters, she was still probably the strongest personality. I mean, people kind of forget that the original gimmick when they started teaming together was Kenzie was a face and Ella was a heel. And it was kind of, they did the Billy Corgan tag team doesn't get along thing until they finally, Kenzie finally turned heel. And it worked. They were good tag team champions. And Ella's been a good tag team champion when she's held the titles.
The Bobby Eaton of the NWA Women's Division.
Bobby Eaton.
And that is no insult, my friend.
No, it's not. And, look, she found a role. Well, should she eventually get like the TV title? Maybe, but for right now, let's let her go with what she seems to be best at, and that's being the strong personality and information technology girl.
Now, this is where my opinion is different from your guys's. And I know you're going to say, oh, well, it's because you think Ella Envy's so hot, whatever. She's gorgeous.
We already think. We already know that that's why.
She's gorgeous. But let's focus on what is important is the tag team wrestling. And I did get to see the King Bees at the Crockett Cup, and they pulled a very decent match out of Reka Tahaka and Tiffany Nieves. Now, Tiffany Nieves wasn't the problem, Reka Tahaka was, but they got a pretty decent match at Crockett Cup, and I actually enjoyed that matchup. But I feel like this King Bees was probably the best version of the King Bees that I've seen, and it's the night that they lose the titles. And you know, when I watched them in the ring, they were working together, but they both were doing stuff to stand out individually. And again, if they end up breaking up that tag team, which I hope they don't do, but if that's something they plan to do down the road, you know, you kind of already given them a little bit of a spotlight to showcase who they are as individuals. I don't think this is going to be a long title reign for Samantha Starr and Ella Envy. And I do believe that the King Bees will be back in contention sooner than later. I thought this was a fun match more than you guys did, and that's because I really felt like it was the breakout match for the King Bees. It's the best they ever looked to me, and I really feel like Ella Envy is such a fantastic worker in that she blends the emotive style of wrestling with the pro wrestling, and I feel like she was the veteran in that matchup. And I don't even know if that's true, but she felt like the veteran in that matchup, and I felt like we got a really good encounter. So I look forward to the rematch. I was happy with that one. Roswell says, NWA, it's your birthday, you get a championship belt. That was I was singing along happy birthday. I didn't hear Milk Mascaras get into it.
It was in Spanish, I'm sure. Real quick, I just had to delete 2 comments on that Mimi versus Vicious Vicky match from Texas.
Jeez. Feliz cumpleaños.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That takes us to what's happening Saturday night in Tampa, Florida. They moved to the Robarts Arena from they moved from the Robarts Arena. This is an old flyer to the studios in Tampa. You know, and they did say that was because of the storm. Now, we don't have an entire full card yet, and that's the problem with, again, the taping schedule the way it is. You know, the matches have not been built up on television, and we're getting all this from social media for the matches they have announced. But I'm going to go down the card as the way I see the matches playing out on in terms of the match listing, and we'll just get your guys' 2 cents on these things. The first match that I think will be the throwaway match will be all 3 of the Kazanas, father and sons, taking on the tag team of the Slime Balls and a mystery partner. Jaden, what do you think about this one?
I hope the mystery partner's Trent Knight or what was his name? Bob Cook, or if you really want to go old school and like the Italian Stallion, or what's his name? Crow Connection number 2. I hope it's somebody for like that.
What if it's Ricky Morton?
Well, there's somebody from that era.
DK, what are your thoughts on this one?
Joe South.
Well,
George South. That might be it, actually.
George South, yeah.
Go ahead, DK.
My opinion on this one is that I have no opinion on this one. I'll just complain about the fact that you have tag team champions who should be defending their titles, not teaming with their old man.
You know, at the at 76, speaking to Joe Kazana after the show, he said he still had one more in him, and then Sorry, I sneezed. The next match on the card is a very confusing matchup. Obviously, Colby Carino and Kerry Morton and Silas Mason teaming together doesn't seem like that's a big deal or out of the ordinary. You would expect the Southern Six to compete as a tag team on occasion. We've seen more Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton as a tag team as of late, but Silas Mason and Kerry Morton, I'm fine with that pairing. But I'm so confused, dumbfounded, perplexed. Colby Carino, hot up-and-coming talent, trying to get into that heavyweight division, had a very fun match with Silas Mason at the Crockett Cup, at the 76th anniversary show. Teaming with Brian Idol, who, as far as I know, has zero connection to the Southern Six or to Kerry Morton or to Silas Mason. And I'm just kerfuffled by this matchup. DK, what are your thoughts on this one?
Really, really mixed. Because, like you said, it makes sense for the Southern Six to have a tag team match. We know Alex Taylor's already spoken for in another matchup. That being said, I think maybe the pairing of Colby Carino and Brian Idol is, there's a word for it. Hold on. Give me a second. Effing stupid?
I thought you were going to go with the lazy booking.
Well, it's almost like, again, there's no reason for the match. Yeah. And the only thing I don't like is that they have a singles title on the wrong sixth person. Because really, Silas Mason should be the person with the singles title. And I would like to see him being built up more as a singles wrestler. And this is your basic throwaway, go take a piss tag match.
Jane, what are your thoughts?
Sometimes when you book a wrestling card, you're like, oh, crap. I have people I haven't booked yet. What can I put with them? Oh, I'll put them in a tag team. And I think that's what this is right here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of agree with you. You need to get these guys on TV. You need to put them on your shows. Colby Carino had a good match, like I said, with Silas Mason at the 76. Brian Idol is definitely going to be all round, whether you like him or not. I also think that this match has potential, and I'm not going to say it's going to steal the show, but it can be a lot better than what we think it is, just based on the fact that Silas Mason, Colby Carino both have a lot of good chemistry that we saw at 76, or you guys will see next week on 76. But both of them have kind of like, I don't know, have been able to take it to that next level. We've seen both Colby and Kerry Morton as former junior heavyweight junior heavyweight champions. In fact, Kerry lost his title to Colby Carino at the last anniversary show. So, I mean, there are some elements to this match that could be exciting. It could be fun. But again, I'm just going to say I think it's going to be better than what we originally anticipated.
We really didn't have high hopes for Carino versus Silas, and it overachieved, in my opinion. And I think that's one thing that's going for this. Personally, though, I'd just rather seen Colby versus Kerry in a singles match, and then Idol versus Thurbilly in a singles match.
Yeah. So
I mean, looking at it, you got two guys with talent in there, so.
I mean, maybe I'm alone on this, but I still think Kerry Morton's a better talent than you guys give him credit for.
DK, actually, I think he's better than DK gives him credit for. In fact, it was for you guys for a while that was we're not fans of Kerry Morton, and I was the one that was saying that he's got more potential. He's a kid with big paws. I think he's really filling into himself.
what changed for me is when I saw him in Mexico, and I stopped looking at him as little baby face, little Ricky Morton's kid. Looked at him as Kerry Morton as a heel, and he's got that shit-eating grin heel. You know, he's the guy that you're going to pay to watch his ass get kicked, and I really feel like he does that in spades. And you know, watching him in Game Changer Wrestling, watching him in the NWA, the one thing that is certain is he can get heat from a crowd.
So what's next?
The next matchup, and these are just my guesses. I don't know if this is how it's really going to play out, but then we have the very confusing triple threat match featuring Kylie Paige, Natalia Markova, and Hollywood Haley J. And the biggest reason why this match is confusing to me is because, as DK said earlier in the podcast, Natalia Markova is the number one contender and by all rights should be wrestling for the women's world title. This match seems almost pointless. The other part to this is Natalia Markova and Tiffany Nieves were flaming the fire of a potential rematch by literally quite saying that Tiffany Nieves said that she would put Markova on fire. Joe Gallo even said, "Hey, not inside the venue at Samhain." So you kind of felt like on social media they were trying to build that match up, but now that has not been announced. We don't even see Tiffany Nieves on this card, and we're getting this confusing triple threat match with Hollywood Haley J, who, you know what, I think she has potential too, like DK said, or Jaden said in the past. And I think her and Kylie Paige would have been a real fun match, a good way to get another look at Hollywood Haley J and to test Kylie. Throwing Markova in this doesn't make any sense to me. And, Jaden, what do you think? Am I wrong on that?
This isn't the three-way that would make money, or at least not wrestling. But here's the thing. Are we sure that Markova won't be women's champion by then?
No.
Has anything happened in between where she's going to be women's champion by then? Because I have a feeling that's where this one's heading.
Well, there was a TV tapings that took place back-to-back in Tampa before the hurricane. And, nothing, I have not seen anything posted online, but that's an excellent point. Maybe that is the case.
Then I understand it, because that's an NWA Billy type booking.
Say that again, DK.
I said it's not the case.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. I don't remember her winning the title, but I still have a feeling there's something in between there where she could win it.
I'm not saying it's not possible, but they did put out a thing saying that Kenzie Page will defend the title in against who. I guess you weren't here for the first part, but
we're going to get to that.
Yeah, I was going to say that set me off because I was complaining about this match.
Maybe for some stupid reason, the winner of this match is who she defends it against.
I had a theory.
Okay, Austin.
We'll get to it. As we get closer to that matchup. The next match that is advertised is the continuation of the 76 storyline in the junior heavyweight division, and that would be Jack Cartwheel challenging Alex Taylor for the Royal Crown Championship, the junior heavyweight title. And I'm going to try to make that stick. If you guys want to support me on that, that'd be great. But you've got Cartwheel, who, has been seen everywhere in every territory. I've seen him everywhere but a WWE ring at this point. And, I'd like to see him succeed and like to see his success. He's challenging Alex Taylor, who is your junior heavyweight champion. And I think if you're going to put the belt on Cartwheel, now's the time to do it before he gets officially locked up somewhere else. I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I really feel like Alex Taylor has grown a lot in the last year under the Southern Six. We see a lot more tenacity. He used to team with Rush Freeman, remember, way back in the day? And I feel like we got a much better version of Alex Taylor today, and I think this is going to be a fun matchup. DK, you go first. What do you think about this?
Oh, yeah, I think the match will probably be good for what it is. Cartwheel better not win, and let him go get locked up to be enhancement talent somewhere else.
That's that it? That's all you got? All right. Jaden, you've seen both these guys live recently. What do you think about this one?
I'm not a biggest fan against Jack Pirouette. He's okay. If I'm going to do Royal Crown, first of all, I also want it with Royal Crown soda. That way, RC soda and Royal Crown, RC and RC. That's the way I'm going to drink my Royal Crown now. By the way, my family used to own a piece of RC Cola back in the day. But I don't know. It's okay. I haven't seen Alex Taylor wrestle as a singles much, so I can't really give you an honest opinion. And Cartwheel is just kind of flippy, and the most fun part was that Mexican guy just calling him every kind of gymnastics name possible.
I'm going to say Spanish-speaking guy because I didn't check his ethnicity.
Well, he's got a luchador mask. He's got to be from Mexico, right? Isn't that a law?
Yeah, maybe. Hey, James H. Jackson says, are we going to see the Spooky Samhain event first so we see it in spooky season, a.k.a. Halloween, or will we see it after the 2-day, 12-episode tapings they did seeing Samhain 2 sometime in late January? So, yeah, I feel like, honestly, James, like there's been no indication that they're going to change up the TV taping schedule. Now, maybe what we might see is one episode was filmed specifically before Samhain and one episode was filmed for after Samhain. They did that. Between the Crockett Cup. Remember, they did those 2 tapings in Tampa last year, and they filtered in Crockett Cup into before and after. So that might be the case. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think considering that they have no deadline, there's no network telling them how soon they need product and how soon they need to put it up. Why not put Samhain up first and just have those TV tapings be your fallout afterwards, leading up to the new year. But that also means that any title changes that happened at Samhain would have been seen on the tapings that they did earlier. So there's a lot of misdirect, and I don't think that they can do the Samhain first. Okay, so then the next matchup, or wait, did we get DK's opinion? Yeah, we did. Okay. Next up, we have the TV title match. The men's television title match featuring Max the Impaler defending the TV title against Carson Drake.
God.
There's been some turmoil between Father James Mitchell and Max the Impaler. We saw that, and he asked if she was out of her bleeping mind. And, excuse me, you are correct. They. Yeesh. Could this be the end of Miserably Faithful, at least as Max the Impaler as a member? Could the Miserably Faithful cost them, Max, the men's television title? Remember, Black G's made some sort of deal with Carson Drake at the 76th anniversary show. Could we see some sort of interference from Mims and Black G's in this matchup? I mean, a lot of things could happen. Jaden,
yeah, like the ring can implode.
Sure.
The sun can blow us all off of the face of the earth. Yeah. All of this seems like better options than that match.
Okay.
I have no desire in any way, shape, or form to care about that match. Honestly, there's nothing.
Now, what's your drawback? What's putting that to you?
I'm not a fan of the Max being the TV champion, but whatever. Max is the TV champion. But if Max is going to lose it, it's going to lose it to Carson Drake. He's going to lose it to Carson Drake. There's so many options that would be a better option. I mean, if Max is going to, and if not, Max is going to retain the championship. Does that mean that gives Max 7, so Max gets a world title shot? So. Yeah, I don't like any possibility in this.
You don't like the outcomes?
No, I hope they just do a bunch of cocaine and die of heart attacks or something. I don't
know. Before we get to your take, DK, Matthew has a question. What would you do to get the belt off of Max and he is asking you specifically, Jaden.
The options are Kerry Morton or Thrillbilly or just about anybody. Spencer Slade. Daisy Kill. I'll take Daisy Kill. I'll take Wrecking Ball. I'll take just about anybody in that option and just beat Max real cleanly, easily, dominantly, and then take the serious run with the TV championship and get rid of that stupid 605 rule.
They're not getting rid of that. Roswell says, book Zicky to come in and knock Max out with a bag of pennies. 1, 2, 3. Outlandish. All right, DK, your thoughts on this match?
Hold on, I'm banning Roswell forever. All right. My thoughts on this match. We're rewarding a guy who took a payoff to lose a title by giving him another title shot in something that has no reasoning or build or number one contenders match or anything like that.
And doesn't even know anything about beta alanine.
Exactly.
Look at him, doesn't know anything about creatine either.
And so this is the person that Max is going to face. Now, I have a feeling Ricky Morton's TV title stuff on X is probably homegrown, but it's a better option.
I mean, Kerry Morton?
You meant Kerry Morton.
Kerry Morton, yes.
I was like, Ricky trying to get the title now? What's going on? I didn't hear about that. Okay.
Ricky Kerry, they're the same person.
I take Ricky over Carson Drake at this point.
Because he doesn't know beta carotene.
I would take Ricky. Yeah, I think I would.
Not beta carotene, beta alanine.
That's sure. Obviously, I don't know what beta alanine is either.
Yes, you're gonna start. I'm gonna start supplementing you now. So when you go to the gym early in the morning and you don't feel like going,
is that when I take the beta alanine?
You take pre-workout?
No, I do. Well, I mean, I take the not go C4. I take a C4.
I can.
Sport. Yeah.
Yeah, don't take that shit. Give me some real stuff.
It tastes good. I like it.
It ain't about taste, it's about results.
Fair. Matthew Underwood says Ricky's going after Crossfire Championship off of Hoovy. You're going the wrong way, Matt. You're going the wrong way. You're supposed to go younger, not older. Matthew Underwood said that belt needs to come off of Max like yesterday. Yeah. I really agree with that. I feel like I never thought Max needed a title to be over. And I liken Max the Impaler the same way that I would say Andre the Giant or Kamala or any one of the, anomalies in professional wrestling. I think you don't need a belt to be over. The Sheik who wrestled for the NWA, he was so hungry to have titles and glory that way. But I feel like if you had just focused on the Sheik being the Sheik and dangerous and deadly, he would have been so much more interesting as an attraction. And to me, that's the same thing with Max. And I'm not taking anything away from Max. And honestly, the non-binary stuff is not problematic to me. I don't mind if Max is wrestling against Carson Drake. I don't care if Max is wrestling against Kenzie Page. I don't care. As long as the matches are entertaining, that's all I care about. But I don't think a title needs to be on the line to make Max interesting. I think Max in and of themselves is interesting. It'll catch a casual viewer like, wait, Max, is wrestling a dude, but I thought she was wrestling women. It gives an opportunity to have that kind of, somebody who might not be interested in this product or know about this product to see something different that they're not seeing in the other two brands. So that being said, I like Max and I want Max to stay part of the NWA, but I don't need Max as holding the TV title, especially when Max hasn't had but maybe 2 defenses of that title. I need to see more activity with Max as TV champion or whoever the TV champion is. And I'm also tired of these long ass title reigns for the TV championship. That TV title to me, and I think DK will back me up. I think he said this the other day. Like, I'm cool with that title bouncing around. That's the one title I want to bounce around. From week to week, it could be a new champion. From month to month, it could be a new champion. Please don't wait 6, 8, 10 months to crown a new champion. I feel like that's an extreme offensive use of the title. You could really have some interesting storylines and build people with this title by putting it in an active, environment. Max won that belt, and then they put them in the Crockett Cup in a tag team. So Max wasn't even defending the title when there were opportunities for Max to defend the title. So I feel like if the title came off of Max, that'd be a good thing. I also am not a huge fan of Carson Drake. I liked him better when he was Jordan Clearwater. I feel like there are a lot better candidates to be TV champion. And there is storyline that's kind of pre-built into this. There is some turmoil with the Miserably Faithful. So that could end up costing Max the title. We know that Black G's made some sort of deal with Carson Drake. We don't know if that was actually a payoff where cash was exchanged hands. It could have been a promise of the TV title, which is a faster route to the 10 pounds of gold, apparently. Or maybe
you have to win 7 matches for the TV title to get a shot. You only have to give up the national title to get a shot.
Okay, that's fair.
God, I hate that I had to say that.
And you had to say it too. So the thing about it is, there are elements that are outside of the match that could lead to taking that belt off of Max, which is kind of
what my thoughts.
Oh, I don't know. Did you?
No.
All right, go ahead.
So
sorry.
Anyway, one thing I will say, any promotion that I'm involved with will never have intergender matches. And I don't care if you're non-binary or what. It's not happening. But just for the sake of this, well, how do you get the title off Max? Well, either a big guy needs to wash her, or a little guy needs to have a accident with. Well, the best thing, if we're going to tell a story, we started a story. NWA doesn't necessarily like to stay with stories, but we started a story. So the best thing would be to have the Sinister Minister cost her the title accidentally against somebody like Kerry Morton, who we would like to see as a TV champion, except for I don't like Kerry Morton, but that vein. And that's what we need to do to get the title off of her. This match, I don't care about. The only thing that would make sense is if Mims got involved, because there's at least a history with Mims and Max. But even that's been so old and so ignored that I don't care. I don't care about the title. I don't care about the champion as champion. And the challenger is totally meaningless to me. So
I haven't cared since the Pope.
Well, that's because it hasn't mattered since the Pope.
True.
And I'd go buy more popcorn during this match, and I keep moving to the back of the line as long as it's going.
All right.
Now my thoughts are done.
That reminds me, I have to look for a popcorn machine.
Timu.
No. I need something actually good. I need like one of those ones they use for like fairs or schools or something like that, like the real good high quality one.
Next up, we have the title defense from the It Girls, defending against the Caribbean Flow, Ruthie J and La Rosa Negra. And this matchup, again, on paper is fine. Like, I have no problem with it. But it's like, and again, maybe the TV taping schedule will tell the story of how we get here. But there's other tag teams. The first and foremost, the world champions usually get a rematch when they lose the titles. And I also, how did Ruthie J and La Rosa Negra jump the line? Is there not enough other women tag teams in the NWA? Is that just what it is? We're going to see the same 3 teams week after week. DK, what did you think about this match announcement? No time limit, no countouts. The It Girls versus Caribbean Flow. Easy for me to say. And is this one that you think is going to be a fun match?
It might be a fun match, but I really want to know is what's Caribbean Flow's record, because it seems like they lose a hell of a lot more than they win. So,
that's a Tony Khan thing.
Yeah, I was going to say you can. I don't know. There's nothing's been done to make this exciting. So,
but again, we're also talking about a match that there's 2. At least 2 days worth of TV taping. Could be 8 episodes, could be 12 episodes before we get to this match.
Well, yeah, but if I were in a position to buy a ticket, that's meaningless to me.
That's true.
Well, anyway, what do I know?
I love La Rosa Negra, so I don't care. La Rosa Negra, you put her in everything. She's great. Black Rose is great. She's just absolutely amazing. I've been a proponent of her. I was excited when the NWA got her. I'm happy they're doing something. The match will be entertaining. La Rosa Negra will make sure it is. La Rosa Negra needs to win the women's TV title sometime soon. And I don't remember Ruthie J if she's good or not. I think she's one of those ones that's okay but blows spots, if I remember. But I don't think I've ever seen her. Other than I think she was in the women's gauntlet at the one women's empowered pay-per-view.
Yeah, Ruthie and Kenzie were the ones that had that one spot at the beginning.
Yeah. But you know what? La Rosa is awesome, so I don't care. La Rosa Negra for president.
I'll vote for
it. Yeah, I mean, you guys kind of hit it. There's been no build for it. This is a matchup of Jaden's favorite versus my favorite, Ella Envy, La Rosa Negra. I think that there could be a lot of fun in this match. I think the story could be self-contained in this one match. I just wish there was at least something on social media that would build to these events. Now, again, we don't see this for a while. At least that's my assumption. So the story could be built in that we just haven't seen it yet. But again, that's problematic of the TV taping schedule and the live event schedule and expecting fans to be on top of both. Yeah, no. You agree, disagree?
Mostly agree.
All right, I'll take it. And then that brings us to what we were talking about earlier. A match announcement without an opponent announced. This seems, again, problematic. Now, again, maybe the story is told at the TV tapings. Maybe we'll find out who's the number one contender, but they just did that at the 76th anniversary show. So we know that Markova should be the number one contender. This probably should have been her match, but maybe they're saving it for the next pay-per-view, Looks That Kill, where she's literally featured on the poster. But nevertheless, this is the matchup that we're getting, or this is the announcement that we're getting. Kenzie Page will defend her title against a woman, a challenger to be named, a mystery opponent. Jaden, do you think that's a positive or negative move? And who do you think her opponent will be?
The only reason that it would be any way positive is if it's somebody with some kind of name value. Anybody get released yet? Anybody looking to leave it AEW or TNA or WWE anytime soon? That's the only thing I can think of. Because it has to be somebody worth, if you're going to have a mystery opponent, it has to be somebody that's actually worth booking.
Yeah.
And the NWA doesn't have a good history yet.
Say that again, DK.
I said somebody booked Mandy Sachs recently.
Wildcat booked her, but only as a promotion. just to sign autographs.
Okay.
Jaden, do you have anything else you wanted to say on that?
No, it's Billy Corgan booking.
So do you have a guess who it's going to be or no?
No. I mean, if it's going to be an NWA person, I'd watch it be like, I'm trying to think who was in that gauntlet that was eliminated first. Whoever was eliminated first in the Burke Invitational, that's probably who I'll end up being.
It could be Tiffany because we haven't heard anything about her month. So
who?
Tiffany.
Yeah, that's a good. That's definitely.
I'm going to go Tessa Blanchard just because.
If you're right, you'll blow everyone's mind, and if you're wrong, it's like it wasn't a bad guess.
It's a horrible guess. They might do something like that.
DK, the NWA is not shy of using people who have outside reputations that other places that people are afraid to take, a chance on. So why not?
Because it's her.
And maybe she'll apologize to Rosa Negra, who started this, brought this whole situation to light.
Well, they already did apologize. Like they made up. Her and Tessa are, at least on the surface, are okay.
Yeah, well, whatever. Women never get along with anybody, you know that.
I've been married twice. Of course I know this.
Words are easy to say when you're not looking the witch in the face.
Yes.
So DK, who do you think is going to be the opponent for this match?
Tiffany.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Okay, maybe I need to pay more attention. Now,
I think she's alone now.
What's that?
I think she's alone now.
Doesn't seem to be anyone around.
Oh, God.
Okay, so my guess is we're going to see. I said I had a theory about who this matchup would be later. So in my theory, Max the Impaler is going to lose the television title. And this is going to cause a rift between her and an irreparable rift. A rift that's so great that will never be reunited. And so after Max loses the men's television title, Max will go and try to challenge for the women's championship, only to have Father James Mitchell and the Miserably Faithful cost her that title. And Kenzie again escapes with by the skin of her teeth with the help of the Miserably Faithful, and that will divorce Max from that group. Then potentially make Max a babyface, and then you could do more things with Max down the road, and also gives you an opportunity to have Kenzie Page in another match with Max before you use Max predominantly in men's matches.
I hate it. No, sir, I don't like it.
No.
All right. Well, I said that was my theory. I didn't say it was correct. And that brings us to the main event. The rematch from 76, Thom Latimer, EC3, saw win for all the marbles, for the 10 pounds of gold. Jaden, what do you think about this one?
I think they should both sit in chairs for this match.
Stupid. And just talk it out before they wrestle, or don't even wrestle at all.
Oh, they'll wrestle, but they'll wrestle in the chair. Maybe they'll get like those. Maybe they'll get those chairs that's used for like an office chair.
Yeah.
Then they can go office chair back and forth, and never have to leave. No, honestly, it's a match that Thom Latimer needs to have. Hopefully, it's a better match. It was okay at 76. It wasn't great, but if it could be a better match, I think that this is a match right now that probably could use maybe. See, it's world title. You don't really need a gimmick, but there needs to be something between the two because they've wrestled a handful of times already.
Yeah,
and the last match wasn't that great, but it is a rematch for the championship, and Thom Latimer needs a good win over the former champion to solidify his championship reign. So at least it's good for the actual credibility and legacy of Thom Latimer and the NWA World Title.
DK, your thoughts?
It scares me a little bit.
Because you think they're going to hotshot it.
That's my fear. We don't know a whole lot of what's going on. It's near the end of the year. Contracts may be close to being up. I don't know. But I would hope it would go the way Jaden's talking. My fear is that they'll put it back on EC3, and then that would just kill Latimer. So you might as well let him go at that point.
Probably going to go join his wife in obscurity.
Yeah, just let him. At that point, there's nothing else you can do. It's kind of like with Ronnie Garvin. There was nothing to do with Ronnie Garvin once he lost the world title.
My first thought was, who was Ryan Garland? And then I realized you said Ronnie Garvin, and now I understand everything.
Everything? Good.
Everything you were talking about.
I need some things explained to me.
Let's not get carried away. Your boy Jay has limited capacity in the old frontal lobes. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. I know we've seen it before. This will be the first time where Thom is the champion and EC3 is the challenger. It's a little bit different dynamic. The last match, the dynamic was it was a rematch from earlier in the year. And this time now we're seeing Thom in that position where he has to beat. Well, he doesn't even have to beat EC3. He just has to outlast EC3. He could take a time limit draw. He could take a count out. He could take a disqualification and still keep that title. And this would be an opportune time to kind of define who Thom Latimer is as world champion. He's had several non-televised title defenses, mostly against Brian Idol, but having an opportunity to taking on EC3, who through most of EC3's run was more of a tweener than anything else. Will we see a heel Thom Latimer? Will we see a babyface Thom Latimer? Will we see the guy who will do anything to keep the title at all costs, or is he going to be a superhero? What Thom Latimer are we going to see? And I think this match can ultimately dictate that, and what happens to EC3 going forward. And like DK said, maybe his contract is expired. I don't remember seeing him sign an exclusive contract to the NWA. Maybe I might have missed it. I don't recall seeing that. So,
some were done before all the big announcements.
Sure. And look, the contract that Nick Aldis had expired each year. So maybe that's the case that's going to happen this time. Maybe that contract is expiring, and this is just one more shot for Latimer to prove who he is and all that good stuff.
Maybe.
All right. Well, I didn't realize we lost Jaden there. So that's going to do it for us this week on the Alliance, guys. We went way longer than I was anticipating. I appreciate you guys being here for the conversation. Of course, stay tuned to the Twitter machine, to the Instagrams and all that. And maybe we might find out who wins some of these matches here at Saul Win 2 if you're into finding out spoilers and whatnot. If you enjoyed tonight's program, the like, the comment, the subscribe, the comment after the podcast always helps with the algorithm, and that helps us be seen by a larger audience. So
and share.
What's that?
And share.
Oh, and share, of course. Yes, please. And that all helps get us seen by more people, and hopefully the channel can continue to grow. And that's the best way you could help us without putting one hand in your pocket at all. But if you would like to financially support the show, we do have t-shirts and hats and other merchandise available in the merch link in the bio for the video. Also, we have a great partnership with a company called Dubby. It gives you clean energy, and it helps you focus and stay maintained. And if you take 300 milligrams a day, like my boy Jaden over here,
300 milligrams a day. We talking about 300 milligrams a day doesn't get me through breakfast.
300 milligrams per meal. Well, I mean, how much are you taking, dude?
Let's just say I glow sometimes.
You doing double Dubby?
Double Dubby. I'm doing WWE.
The double WE. Now you sound like Nikolai Volkov. So yeah, that helps us grow if you purchase and use our code.
I've done a gallon of Dubby.
In a day or in a meal?
Not a meal. I've drank it throughout the morning.
Okay.
Throughout my afternoon, maybe.
It's like, dude, you better get your kidneys checked. You can't do that much caffeine, man.
Oh, yes, I can. It sounds like a challenge. My caffeine tolerance would kill a small elephant.
I don't know if you should be bragging about that.
Probably why I think I'm dead. The caffeine's probably the only thing keeping my body and brain moving.
There it is. Like those beetles who are eaten by parasites from the inside. The W's now controlling you, and
Dubby and Ghost and Gorilla Mind and
W. The caffeine is what I meant. W's great product.
Pre-workout and fat burners and
rails of W.
Yes.
And if you can also help support the show if you are in need of a championship title belt for your club, for your your fantasy sports. I was gonna say Final Fantasy, your fantasy sports league, or maybe an Employee of the Month award. Visit Trophy Smack and use the code the Alliance Blog to save on that purchase as well. That all helps us out in the ROI of this show. But that's going to do it for us. Jaden, is there anything you want to plug before we say goodnight?
Make sure to go and watch that Mimi versus Vicky match and don't make any butt comments, please. We'll delete them. And watch the rest of the dog. There will be some matches up. It's my camera guy's taking a sweet ass time. He's putting them up. And I have to, there is a match out there that I could put out there now, but I was kind of waiting. Because I wanted it to actually be an order of the matches, so we'll see if that match gets put up sooner or later. But there's going to be stuff to make sure you watch the YouTube channel, like, comment, subscribe, and if you have any buildings, if you live in the South Jersey area or in that area that needs fundraising or a building that we can rent, please help. We could need that. The buildings is the hard thing right now for dogs. Dr. Zirconium has got a lot on his plate, and I've been helping him look, and there's not a lot. So please help us get some buildings. And I like the Beach and Peach Dubby, but I will probably be trying the blue tiers.
I like the blue tiers. DCam, is there anything you would like to add before we call it a night?
No.
All right. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of our live stream each and every Thursday. On Tuesday, we will be back with the pre-party with Ray.
Pre-party! Womp.
You might know her as Reina Del Rey from Women of Wrestling, as she started her own alliance. So we'll talk about that and a lot more. And then also next week, no live show. We won't be doing a live stream. It is Halloween next Thursday. We will not be here, but I will have some ancillary content for you to watch. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until next time, we'll see you guys at the match. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.